This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.
Welcome back to the Inkpulp Podcast. We're doing question number 3 with Sean Murphy. So, Sean, what topic are we tackling?
Let's talk about comic reporters. And
okay. Are we talking about comic book journalism?
Journalists and why we use quotes on that word.
Okay.
Hey, I have a question before you keep going.
Oh my
Sorry.
God!
Before we go,
Alan's had some whiskey. Alan's had some whiskey.
All right, what is it?
No, I won't, because historians, from my perspective, Alan asked if we're including historians. Historians seem to be pretty steeped in not just the history, but in the workings of the medium.
Whenever I've met a comic historian, read their book or seen their interview, I thought, this girl is legit. They're in it for the right reasons. They've got a real job on the side. They have an actual English degree.
They're passionate.
They spell check. They seem like complete human beings.
Yeah.
Unlike
journalists.
All right, so we'll go. Let's dive right in.
Okay.
I remember there's a giant, really famous, well-loved journalist for a website. I won't name who it is because this will narrow it down. Who hit on me really hardcore at a bar event after, and I was like,
okay.
I'm a creator.
I must know who this is.
And she's like, oh, I always talk like this to men after I blah, blah, blah. She made me feel like this is just what she does. This is a male-dominated industry, so I was like, one lady out of control. It is what it is. And, if you're hit on like that as a man, it's like, just take it as a compliment. It's not,
right.
There's no threat. So I brushed it off. It still annoys me, but that she's seen as this great reporter, and I know this about her, whatever. And the second one is another female reporter who had a fiance or husband who was a drunken jackass who would show up to these events and beg people for work to the point where it was really fucking awkward. And a lot of other famous writer friends of mine would tell me after, like, I like her, but like this guy she's seeing, like, what the hell is this? And everyone's trashed. And she said once in a podcast or an article on a big comic website, she likes the comics as kind of like a big open door thing. It's like anyone can go to any of these parties and meet their heroes, and isn't it nice that we can play nice with each other and this and that. And I would push back on that and go, I don't like that anybody can get in. I think there's a lot of douchebags getting in, a lot of untalented people.
I think, and this might go back to the last episode, one of the problems I have is when you and I were coming up, you had to fight and work and push and drive to get in.
Yeah.
There was no just get in. And then it became very easy.
Yeah.
Because you had so many followers on social media. And that also I have to cage the last episode with, I'm coming from that perspective too. So like, I remember I tweeted once a long time ago, I just was angry, and I was like, I see a lot of people cashing checks without paying dues.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I remember that tweet.
Yeah. And someone responded like, who cares? Like, why do you have to pay dues? And it was just like, oh, well, if you have to ask that question, then I guess we're just different-minded human beings.
Yeah, don't even engage that person.
Right, so I didn't, but I think that mentality is pervasive in journalism.
Yeah. I think the short answer of why we don't have better journalism is there's not a lot of money to attract good journalists. If you know what you're doing and you're trained and you've got a degree in this shit, you're probably working for a big website with valid accreditation. And
I guess my
my
gripes go even deeper because the journalists don't take time to study the medium.
Fair.
Like I mean, to read a comic book review is the most insane thing I've ever read. There's an absolute lack of understanding of everybody involved in making it.
Right.
From the writer to the artist to the letterer to the colorist.
Right.
And the people they attribute things to is usually wrong. And the things that they're saying, this artist did an amazing job with A, B, and C, make no sense.
Right.
There's an absolute, like, that's not journalism. That is, that you're a teenage, like, basically I'm a blogger in my mom's basement, but now I'm a journalist. Like,
Oh no, bloggers and journalism and comics are kind of the same thing. To me.
that's what I'm saying. So, you read a lot of opinion-based journalism, but their opinions exist in the most ignorant of stratospheres where it's like you're not educated in this. So what your opinion is it's all visceral.
Right. When I meet most journalists, it's, oh, you love comics, which is cool. You wanted to be an artist, didn't work out. You decided to be a writer, that didn't work out. You go to shows, you want to be part of the circus, you have a blog, and now you're a journalist.
Right.
That's it. It doesn't come from I would like to think that in other industries, journalism, you have to go through the gauntlet. You take the code of journalism, through sleet and snow and rain and sunshine and unbiased, whatever the code is. I know there isn't one. I just imagine, and I'm romanticizing it, that's what journalists have to try to do to be fair.
Right.
And I know that, we're in a time when we all hate journalists on CNN and Fox. And
the media is becoming more and more just opinions and journalism itself. Like, this could probably extend beyond comics.
Yeah.
But, there's... I think comics needs journalists who know the medium.
I mean, if these journalists were better at their job, they'd probably be comic book writers, like they initially wanted to be.
Right. And if they were truly journalists, they'd be fans of the medium, but not creators.
Or sycophants to the medium.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The journalist job.
It's crazy. I mean, and also the journalism is most of it nowadays is industry gossip.
Yeah, industry gossip and it's clickbait type stuff.
And that's the
what Rich
media.
Johnson does is it sucks that Rich Johnson and Bleeding Cool and all in this. So whatever damage there is from saying this, I'll deal with it. But he sent reporters to writers that I know living in different countries, and they've photographed these writers' houses and basically a veiled threat of, you owe us an interview or we're going to dox you and tell people where you live. Like, we're on your doorstep, basically. And one of my friends actually has a case opened up against Rich Johnson with Scotland Yard, and Johnson is not allowed to come within X amount of feet or meters of this writer. And, Rich Johnson's trying to spoil the big Netflix Hollywood stuff that I have going. And it's not just harmless. Like, if I'm trying to close a deal with a big Hollywood company and they see anything leaked, when they Google me and the first thing that comes up is some bullshit Bleeding Cool article, that hurts my bottom line. That hurts the project. And if Rich Johnson wants to be a real reporter and claim that he's doing everything to help the industry, he should admit that stuff is not helping. What he does is he'll scour databases and find out which new copyrights someone like Mark Millar is filing for, and do his best to piece it together to do some kind of story. But that's not just fun and games and harmless whatever and bullshit. That's actually hurting people and making it hard for us to get to the next level to produce the books that ultimately Rich Johnson should want to review.
Right.
It's such short. The best that we have in comics is TMZ. Is that what we have?
Right.
And the answer is yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
And every now and then, they'll strike gold and do a good article, but there's so much schlock and bullshit and pop-up ads, not to say the least, with that website.
I mean, I honestly can't even remember the last time I went to a comic book news site. There's a point where I was like, there's nothing here for me at all.
So one shout out I will give is to my friend Chris Arendt, who works at Newsarama. I did an interview once with a big writer, and I was at DC, and he asked me these questions, and I said, and I was being honest, and I said, the book is late because I don't have a script, and the writer is not around, and he's going to give me the script when he's done, but I know the writer is doing X, Y, and Z, and I haven't been given the script that I was promised. All 100% true.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, well, thank you for your honesty, and he was shocked that I was so honest, but he and I had been sort of friends for a while. And the marketing person at DC saw that, and all she saw was, oh, Sean's throwing the writer under the bus. And it wasn't. I was just being honest why there were delays. So she stepped in and told Chris, oh, Sean wants the interview pulled. Sean has buyer's remorse over the things he said. And the writer knew me well enough to write to me and be like, hey, I kind of know you, and I'm pretty sure you're not the kind of guy that backpedals on some pretty vanilla statements. And I was like, what happened? So he told me, and I was like, yeah, thank you for calling me. I'm glad you know me, and I'm mad at this marketing person. And I bitched her out. I went to Karen Berger, and I got pissed off. And I don't play like the angry card very often within the company, but that really pissed me off.
That shows also the publisher's absolute lack of respect for talent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. The fact that they will put words in your mouth and not even ask you permission.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think she works for comics anymore either. So, I mean, I don't know. The nice thing about all these complaints, just as a general thing, is a lot of the people that are bad at this generally get pushed out one way or another, you know?
Right. Well, that's true.
Like the nice thing, and this is sort of a different topic, is when I don't know John Romita Jr., I have mutual friends with him. I know he knows me, and I know him. And I know when we hang out, we'll be like, how you doing, man? Like, you survived this too.
Right.
You're not crazy on Twitter, and you've got to have some kind of stable mentality to survive this long.
That's true.
Like, you've got to expect that the people that have hung on for decades have got some semblance of normality and, you know, stick-to-itiveness that got them this far. They're not taken with this bullshit outrage culture or getting mad at marketing or whatever, you know, like they've been steadfast and weathered the storm.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, that was a mouthful. Anything else, Alan? Peanut gallery?
We good?
Talk about free jazz?
We can talk about free jazz if you want.
No, we'll do that over dinner. Let's close out the podcast. Thanks for listening. Peace.
This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.